On the hit list this time, we pay tribute to some of the music industry's biggest belters. According to Rolling Stone magazine, it's impossible to overrate the vocal stylings of Aretha Franklin, who came in at #1 on its list of greatest singers of all time. Often referred to as the Queen of Soul, the daughter of a Memphis Baptist minister has won 20 Grammys and released 20 #1 singles, including the 1967 classic Respect, which still seems totally relevant now.
Well, then it was kind of, as you say, a woman's anthem, a battle cry, a mantra. But everyone wants respect. Everyone needs respect, from the young to the very old, and in the middle, male, female. We all want respect, and we all want to be appreciated. So it pretty much means the same thing to me now that it did then.
In her late 60s, with Lifetime Achievement Awards coming at her from all sides, Aretha's resurgence in profile started with the 2007 release of a duets compilation, which featured her collaborations with the likes of Frank Sinatra, Annie Lennox, Whitney Houston and Luther Vandross. And she intends to keep singing.
Oh, absolutely. Music is my thing. That's who I am. I'm in it for the long run, so I'll be around singing, "What you want, baby, I got it."
Since then, she's been named Person of the Year by Music Cares, a Recording Academy charity supporting music education.
Well, I think certainly it's distinguishing, and they still appreciate my music, my art, my creativity, and so on. And I'm just thrilled. Just really thrilled.
The twice-divorced singer took the opportunity to talk up her brand new album called A Woman Falling Out of Love.
Well, we've all been there. Women, men, women. We've all been there. Just a relationship that boded well to begin with, and hit a bad curve, and it was just downhill all the way from there. So that's all it was. And that's what it was about, pretty much.
Proving that she was serious about her career revival, the new Aretha was getting in shape and shifting a few pounds.
Couldn't be doing better. I've got a new trainer, and she's giving me a lot of good things, really educating me about nutrition and weight loss and how to do it and what this does for you and just all sorts of things. So I'm just making it a lifestyle change now.
Mariah Carey is the only singer ever to have their first 5 singles go to #1 in the US. Signed to Columbia Records, she remained the world's biggest-selling recording artist throughout the 1990s. Her songwriting talent, incredible vocal range and mastery of the so-called whistle register helped yield at least 1 #1 single per year, as well as 4 chart-topping albums. In the year 2000, she wrote songs for several movies and received the Billboard Award for Artist of the Decade. By the time she reached the age of 30, however, the only way was down. Her relationship with singer Luis Miguel was on the rocks, and she started posting messages on her website claiming she was overworked. In 2001, her semi-autobiographical film Glitter and its accompanying album got panned by critics and audiences and won her a Razzie Award. During an appearance on MTV's Total Request Live, she handed out lollies to the audience before launching into a striptease. At her lowest ebb, she signed to Island for just $20 million and embarked on the long, hard climb back to the top, which culminated in the release of The Emancipation of Mimi in 2005. Well received by critics, it became the biggest-selling US album of the year and earned her a Grammy Award. But while everyone was calling her the comeback kid, Mariah was adamant she'd never been away.
They can call me whatever they want. I never went anywhere, and my real fans have always been here for me. And you know what? It's a wonderful feeling, and everything I have is because God has blessed me with this, and I'm thankful, and I'll always be grateful for what I have.
She followed the album up with the most successful tour of her career and scored yet another #1 hit with her single We Belong Together. It held the #1 position for 14 weeks on the Hot 100, while another single, Shake It Off, sat at #2. The next single, Don't Forget About Us, took her #1 total to 17, equaling Elvis Presley's solo artist record. Undaunted by drawing level with the King, she dared to pull past him 3 years later, after netting an 18th #1 with Touch My Body from her album E=MC², leaving only the Beatles' record of 20 #1s to beat.
And honestly, as a female, you know, I feel like it's a very big accomplishment because it's not about competing, but seriously, it is an historic moment because there has never been another female who's done this. So I'm grateful for that, and I hope that young girls out there listening know that obviously anything's possible. You go through ups and downs, but never lose faith and just keep going.
Buoyed by her unrivaled success and her 2008 marriage to actor Nick Cannon, she proved her point by putting her Razzie Award behind her and taking another bash at acting. Her change in approach to the task of playing a social worker in Push won the respect of her co-stars, and much to the surprise of the skeptics, she walked away from the role with rave reviews, with one critic branding her performance pitch perfect. As a child, Christina Aguilera's precocious talent allegedly invoked a lot of peer jealousy, and she was teased and assaulted at school to such an extent her family had to move. Thankfully, that didn't shut her up. Warming up by singing the Star-Spangled Banner at local sports events in Pittsburgh, she joined the Disney Channel's new Mickey Mouse Club at the age of 13, along with Justin Timberlake, Ryan Gosling and Britney Spears. She scored her first recording contract 5 years later and released her self-titled debut album in 1999. It spawned the hits Genie in a Bottle and What a Girl Wants. 3 years later, after firing her manager, she shed the bubblegum image and just about all her clothes to promote the release of her second album, the aptly named Stripped. Audiences were shocked by the new raunchy image she flaunted in the video clip to Dirty. Still, the single went on to be a huge hit worldwide, and the second single, Beautiful, ended up earning her a Grammy for Best Female Pop Vocal Performance. In 2006, after marrying music marketing executive Jordan Bratman, she started taking more control of her career and the creative process. Credited as co-writer and executive producer on her third album, the jazz-inspired Back to Basics signaled her transformation into mature artist.
With each record, I like to change and challenge myself and evolve into a new thing, a different sound, a different look. And for now, where I went with Back to Basics is kind of taking elements of what I'm inspired by, that's old elements of jazz, blues, and soul music, specifically getting visual influences from the 20s, 30s, and 40s to go along with that old sound and look and feel. So it's a lot of fun.
In keeping with the Back to Basics theme, she tried out her new sound and image ahead of the album's release at a secret concert in a small jazz club in London.
We chose this place because I think we could set it up with kind of a jazz blues club environment and a vibe. So that's the basic elements that are going into back to Basics, old blues, jazz, and soul music.
The new mature image met with approval from her die-hard fans.
It's changed, but it's quite modern and it's different. At least she's changing with the times and says the same, but some people just stay with the same image all the time. So she's doing all right though.
The album's lead single, Ain't No Other Man, won her another Grammy, and Back to Basics went on to become the biggest-selling double album of a female artist. Just 2 years later, after a decade-long career as a solo act, she released her first greatest hits compilation, Keeps Getting Better, a decade of hits. Over the course of his career, Tom Jones has collected enough women's underwear to launch his own line of lingerie. At the height of his career in the 60s and 70s, his stage performances were supposedly so hot and raunchy that his female fans would throw their knickers on stage. Now in his 60s, he's still getting out on the road.
I love to sing. The best part of my day is when I'm on stage at night. You know, that's the most exciting part of my day, because you can get rid of a lot of emotion.
And although the knickers might be a little larger these days, he's still treating fans to the same raucous style that made him famous.
Yeah, well, I've always, I've stuck to my guns. I've always sung the way I wanted to, and I've worked with a lot of different producers to get different sounds, but never changed my vocal style. And thank God it's still being appreciated.
Early on in his career, sticking to his guns meant ignoring the advice of one of his idols.
Frank Sinatra once told me, he said, you give too much, you're going to lose your voice. I said, it's the only way I know how to sing.
After a quiet patch in the late 70s and early 80s, his son Mark became his manager. And in 1987, Tom bounced back into the charts with a cover of the Prince hit Kiss. In 1999, he capitalized on his retro cool by pairing up with a host of younger chart-topping artists to cover a range of hits on his blockbuster album Reload. 4 years later, he popped up again with Reloaded.
It's basically the greatest hits album, so we've taken the most successful singles that I've had, and then I've had success with some CDs that we've put out in Europe that were never released in America. So we added some of those songs as well.
The hits kept coming, and so did the awards. In 2002, he was honoured to be singled out by Q magazine for a Merit Award. The following year, he got a Brit for outstanding contribution to music.
But after being around for a long time, it's nice to know that the industry appreciates what I've done.
Credited with ushering in the disco era with her 1975 hit Love to Love You Baby, Donna Summer is a compulsory inclusion in any retrospective on the disco generation. Her continued success in the singles charts with I Feel Love, Could It Be Magic, Bad Girls and Hot Stuff helped her become the first female artist to have 4 number ones in a 13-month period. However, as she recently revealed in her 2003 autobiography, that success came off the back of a physically abusive relationship and long-running battles with depression and low self-esteem.
You know, I was going through a lot of adversity right up until that point, and then one day there was a knock at the door and everything changed. And I went from being a victim to being celebrated. And the mental adjustment and the internal adjustment did not follow that quickly. It took me years to bring that other person up to the standard of what was going on in my life.
In 1989, her career rebounded with the help of British hitmakers Stock Aitken and Waterman. The resulting album, Another Place and Time, delivered her 14th top 10 Billboard hit, This Time I Know It's For Real. Almost 20 years later, at the age of 59, she released Crayons, her first new album in 17 years.
Trying to say with the word crayons is the analogy that I recorded every song this time is a different color, it's a different flavor, it's in another direction. There are no limits to where I'll go. You know, I have no restrictions, no boundaries. I'm just free.
The album debuted at number 17 on the Billboard 200. The single, Stamp Your Feet, and remix of the song I'm a Fire both went to number 1 on the dance club chart. Crayons also featured Bring Down the Rain, a song she dedicated to the people enduring the tragic conditions in Darfur.
And I've been very influenced by some of the work that George Clooney has done and other people that have gone into Africa themselves, physically gone there, and have taken up the part of these people that are there. And I just wanted to do something that I felt could assist them in some way musically, and hopefully I will be able to, I plan on dedicating this song, my portion of this song, to the people of Darfur.
And now that she's back jostling for chart positions with women young enough to be her daughters, she's just enjoying the ride.
I don't really think of myself as ever competing with I mean, they're young, you know, some of them are doing it for the first time. I've been around, you know, once or twice or 3 times. You know, no, I don't feel competitive with it. I'm always rooting for them. And I always, you know, when there's an award to be won, I always pray that God will give it to the person that needs it the most.
After saying goodbye to her sisters and the family group the Braxtons, Toni Braxton got her first real taste of success as a solo artist with her massive 1994 hit Unbreak My Heart. Despite the #1 success of her self-titled debut album, which was followed up by 2 more top 10 releases, things didn't go all her way. And in 1998, she found herself facing bankruptcy. The experience made her realize just how lucky she'd been.
I think a lot of the things that have happened in my life, I didn't enjoy them. A lot of the accolades I received, I didn't really enjoy them until I felt like they were taken from me, so I was threatened with losing them with the bankruptcy and everything.
In the middle of filing for bankruptcy protection from an alleged $4 million debt, Toni took on the role of Belle in the Disney musical Beauty and the Beast on Broadway.
The most important thing about doing Broadway is like singing, performing live. It's right there, it's instant feeling. And I haven't toured in a while, so this allows me to get my little, you know, fix.
After that, her management negotiated a new $25 million recording contract. And Toni bounced back with her 4th album, More Than a Woman.
You know what? I think I'm addicted to singing. It's my adrenaline rush. I love singing. I sing because I love it, not because I have to. And I really think that the talent that God blessed me with, and I get to do it for a living, oh my God, people would love to do that.
In 2003, she got to indulge her love of singing on a nightly basis when she signed up to play Aida in the Broadway musical of the same name.
I wanted to return to Broadway because I think from the first time doing it, I got a little attachment to it.
In 2006, she signed up to perform 6 shows a week at the Flamingo Hotel in Las Vegas. The show proved to be so successful that it was extended for a full 2 years, although she ended up finishing her contract several months early, after experiencing chest pains and being diagnosed with angina. Clearly, however, she was fit and raring to go again by August 2008, when it was announced she would be a contestant on the new season of Dancing with the Stars. As a young artist, George Michael rocketed out of the blocks alongside his best friend Andrew Ridgeley as the hairy half of British pop duo Wham. Their first album, Fantastic, went to #1 in the UK in 1983, spawning the hits Wham Rap, Young Guns and Club Tropicana. Their second album, Make It Big, lived up to its name, going over large in the US and turning them into international superstars, just in time for George to start going his own way as a solo artist. His debut album, Faith, spent 51 weeks in the Billboard 100 Top 10, and George embarked on a massive sellout world tour. The cherry on top came in the form of a Grammy for Album of the Year. But at the pinnacle of his chart-topping career, George started to realize that something very important was missing. Huge success and megastar status weren't bringing him happiness, and much to his record company's dismay, he needed to reassess his priorities. On the eve of the release of his 1990 album Listen Without Prejudice, he broke the news to Sony that he wouldn't be undertaking any promotional duties, including appearing in any videos to promote the singles. In 1993, he took on Sony in a lawsuit to be released from his stifling contract. He lost the case and went into seclusion until David Geffen's startup label DreamWorks SKG bought out his old Sony contract, allowing him to start work on his 3rd solo album, Older, which was released to great fanfare and commercial success in 1996. The same year, he started a relationship with former cheerleader coach Kenny Goss, while still trying to keep his homosexuality a secret from the press. But 2 years later, he was involuntarily outed when he propositioned an undercover policeman in a Los Angeles public toilet. Since then, there have been more sex scandals and troubles with drugs. But when he announced his first US tour in 17 years, the fans came flocking.
I've been a fan since I was young. I was a young man and been a fan of Wham when they was originally, you know, Wham, Jitterbug, get the Jitterbug. So we heard they're coming in San Diego and we took the drive out. So we're here now and we got our tickets and yeah, we're gonna go see them tonight.
And George explained why he'd taken such a big break from touring.
Well, really the 90s was a bit of a disaster for me in so many ways. On a personal level, I don't think I could have toured. Also, I had some physical problems with my back that are now sorted, and I just wasn't in the right state of mind. This last 2 years, I've been touring Europe, and it's been an absolutely incredible experience. And I'm sure America is going to be amazing.
According to the Guinness Book of Records, she's the most awarded female artist of all time. But Whitney Houston has mixed feelings about being labelled a diva.
It's a very, very funny word. It can mean prima donna or goddess. You know, any given day you can be either or. I don't know. I'm just, I'm Whitney. If diva is the word, and if that's what I am, and if I'm at the top of my class, if I'm the #1 diva, I'm fine. If I've got to be #2, I ain't cool with it.
The goddaughter of Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, she signed a recording contract with Arista at the age of 19 and went on to release the biggest-selling debut album of all time. The Greatest Love of All sat atop the Billboard 200 album chart for 14 consecutive weeks. Her second album, Whitney, was another smash. And in 1990, she put paid to her good girl image by hooking up with Bad Boy New Edition singer Bobby Brown, who already had 3 children and a tidy police record. They were married in 1992, and Whitney gave birth to their daughter Bobby Christina the following year. At the height of her success, she went on a concert tour of South Africa. During the tour, she donated $1 million to South African children's charities, prompting Nelson Mandela to make a glowing speech.
No.
I'm here merely to polish her shoes.
No.
And
No.
she is one of the priceless jewels of the anti-apartheid struggle.
It was all a bit much for the emotional star, whose personal life and marriage to Bobby were becoming the subjects of increased speculation, thanks to her erratic behaviour and dazed public appearances. She started turning up late for photo shoots and recording sessions, as well as cancelling concerts and interviews. Whether she liked the diva tag or not, it stuck. When she did turn up for shows, her shockingly skeletal frame had commentators worrying about her mental and physical health. In early 2000, she and Bobby were found to be carrying half an ounce of marijuana at Hawaii Airport. Her spiralling drug abuse led to a trip to rehab, although she checked herself out after only 5 days, claiming she felt claustrophobic. The following year, she went back and stayed the course, and finally filed for separation from Bobby. Their divorce went through 6 months later, with Whitney winning full custody of Bobby Christina and heading straight back to the studio. As if she'd just emerged from a bad dream, her aunt Dionne Warwick was insisting that Whitney's life and career were finally back on track.
She's doing great. And she's in the studio recording. We've just finished a family project with my entire family, inclusive of her, on a song called Family Comes First. And she's singing brilliantly. Of course, she looks fabulous. What more do you want to know?